Cameron Teague-Robinson at CJ_Teague on October 7, Riley Maher and her father, Jeff Maher, were on the way to the emergency room to check on the pain in Riley's chest when an important topic came up. Lunch. They thought the pain Riley began feeling the day before was a strained muscle from a lacrosse tournament or maybe heartburn. The hospital trip was expected to be quick. They would then go to Chipotle. Riley could already picture her chicken burrito with white rice, black beans, corn salsa, sour cream and guacamole. They never made it to Chipotle. Something didn't look right on Riley's x-ray, so a CAT scan was ordered. The results changed the Maher family's plans, not just for that day, but for the next 6 months. There was a lemon-sized mass right above Riley's heart. It was not subtle. Julia Warren, a clinical fellow in pediatric hematology, oncology at Washington University in St. Louis, said of the mass. Shocked by the news, Riley was sent to St. Louis Children's Hospital for more tests. On October 9, she had a needle biopsy. 2 days later came the diagnosis. Lymphoma. Primary mediastinal B-cell lymphoma, to be specific. How could Riley have cancer? She didn't even have symptoms a week earlier. It was hard to wrap your mind around, Jeff said. After the shock, Riley hit treatment hard. On October 13, she had a bone marrow biopsy, followed by a spinal tap and an echocardiogram. A central line was placed inside a blood vessel in her right arm to administer chemotherapy. I can't do this. This is too much, Riley thought. In 6 days, Riley went from a precautionary x-ray to chemotherapy. For a girl whose closest experience with surgery were the stitches she received after busting her head open dancing in the living room as a 4-year-old, that Friday will go down as one of the longest days of her life. It was the beginning of a 6-month period that would help shape her perspective on life and introduce her to Missouri men's basketball coach Cuonzo Martin. That's an overwhelming day for any young person, but to also be facing the unknown. To know you have to go through all of these things, and then on the other side of it you can be told you are fine, or you could be told you have cancer. Warren said, I think for any patient, there are times where you'll feel overwhelmed and afraid, but she has been brave even from day one. Primary mediastinal B-cell lymphoma, for reasons doctors don't understand, doesn't show itself with night sweats, a fever, weight loss, or a lump on a person's skin like more common types of lymphoma. Riley had none of those symptoms. What she had was a mass pushing on her windpipe, which is one of the reasons doctors had to act fast. That is a high real estate area. Warren said of the chest. Masses in the area where her masses can push on the heart and cause problems with blood being able to pump through the heart. They can push on the airway and impact airflow being able to go from your mouth into your lungs. The bone marrow biopsy and the spinal tap were tests to make sure the cancer hadn't spread anywhere else. The echo was done to make sure the heart was functioning properly. Then there was the central line, which is used to distribute the chemotherapy medicine throughout the body. While most chemotherapy medicine is distributed through an IV, Warren said that wasn't safe in Riley's case. The line also an easier way to draw blood. In some cases, chemotherapy medication can leak through the IV and can cause damage to tissue or the skin. Instead, Riley had a line, in her right arm, that went from the crease of her elbow, curved over her shoulder and went down to her heart. Then came the actual chemotherapy treatment. Riley needed a moment before she began chemo. She asked everybody except her family to leave the room. It was kind of that moment like, okay, we are really starting this, Jeff said. The chemotherapy came in 6 rounds, each one the same. She spent 5 days in the hospital, then 16 at home recovering. Riley missed a lot of school, but toward the end of each round she was able to return for portions of the day. She also made it back to cheer on her lacrosse team during workouts. Literally, she would go through chemo and then show up in the gym to cheer on her team when she has been sick for 3 days. O'Fallon Hill, high school lacrosse coach Rob Garrison said, chemotherapy side effects differ from person to person. Many people feel nauseous. Riley didn't vomit once. Smells bothered her. Even now, when she returns to the hospital, the smell of the soap, paper towels or even water makes her sick. She also felt tired and achy, which are common side effects. As is hair loss. As a teenage girl, your appearance is really important to you, Riley said. At first, it just started falling off little by little, and then it fell in chunks. Jeff remembers Riley laying on the couch, watching TV and seeing hair all over the pillow when she got up. That's when she decided it. Jeff said, the family took Riley to a hairstylist to get her head shaved. Her brown hair was officially gone. She had no intention of wearing a wig, though. I wouldn't have felt like me if I wore a wig, she said. She wore stocking caps. She had to put sunscreen on her head when outside, deal with how cold her head would get and the feeling that came when laying down on a pillow. It took time for her to openly show herself without hair, but eventually, her confidence grew. One day, Riley's mother, Kelly Maher, walked up to her room. Riley was on Snapchat, sending pictures to her friends. She didn't have her hat on. "I was like, you go. I was so proud of her," said Kelly, who has been in remission for 7 years after being diagnosed with breast cancer at 39. "I see other girls who are so insecure about themselves or don't know who they are. Cancer takes a lot. But that's a gift that's been given to her." Kelly, as inspiration, has been a gift to Riley, as well. Kelly, though she didn't go through chemotherapy, explained that Riley wasn't alone, which is a feeling many people who are sick share. "Unless you've had cancer, it's really hard to understand." Kelly said, "I don't think you can understand the word devastating until you hear those words. Part of being sick is that people can be there for you, but really, you are the only one going into surgery or having that chemo go into your body." Riley's water bottle is covered in stickers. On one side is a sticker reading, "Peace, Love, Positivity." It's a motto that the cheerful Riley has always embraced. From day one, she has just been so positive. "Sometimes I feel like she was keeping our spirits up, instead of the other way around," Garrison said. Her positivity is something Riley, a Missouri fan by choice and birth, learned more of from Martin. Jeff's father was a big Missouri fan, and Jeff was a medical student at Missouri. He and Kelly lived in Columbia until Riley and Adler Maher, Riley's twin sister, were about 3 years old. The Maher family was drawn to Martin after hearing that he overcame non-Hodgkin's lymphoma 20 years ago. "I love to see Mizzou do well, but it's also nice to know you have a quality person leading your program and somebody who has an emphasis on not just the sport itself, but also life issues," Jeff said. Martin and Riley have spoken twice. The first was after Missouri's December 9th win over Green Bay. The second was after Missouri's March 3rd win over Arkansas. Neither of those conversations was about basketball. It revolved around Riley. One thing stuck for Riley, who celebrated her 17th birthday on Friday. "Stay positive," Riley said of what she learned from Martin. "The most important thing that I learned was that if you are going through something, take it one day at a time. I think that's really something that was helpful from him." Martin added one more message, "just to celebrate all the small victories along the way," Jeff said. In mid-March, Riley had her biggest victory yet. She was told her cancer was 99% gone. She will go back to the doctor in a week for a checkup. Warren hopes to tell Riley she is in complete remission. "The scan next week is really to prove it to ourselves," Warren said. On April 9th, 6 weeks after finishing chemotherapy, Riley was expected to be back on the lacrosse field in a game. She had earned junior varsity time, but that was supposed to be it. Little has gone according to plan for the Mahers this year, and neither did that. After halftime, with O'Fallon leading, Riley looked up to Jeff. She smiled and gave him a thumbs up. She was going in. Jeff and Kelly traded glances. Jeff was surprised. Kelly was nervous. Even Adler, who starts on the varsity team, was surprised. "I was like, oh, wait, Riley is going in?" Adler said. Riley stepped to the circle. "I did it. I'm back," she thought. She didn't play major minutes in the game, but just being back was an accomplishment. "Playing lacrosse is just a part of me, and I'm home again, I guess," Riley said with a laugh. For 6 months, she battled so many things that go along with cancer: emotional devastation, weird cravings, nausea, exhaustion and treatments at all hours of the day. Now, she wants to be a normal 17-year-old girl. That means prom, which was Saturday, school, lacrosse and college visits, which will come this summer. Riley and Adler are thinking about separating for the first time, but not on purpose. Riley wants to be an orthodontist. Her college list, of course, includes Missouri. Adler, impacted by her mother's and sister's fights with cancer, wants to become an oncologist. She is thinking about going to Loyola Chicago or North Carolina, among others. On April 18th, hours after O'Fallon defeated Pattonville 16-2, the sisters sat at the kitchen counter. They had pizza to eat. They discussed with their parents everything from Missouri basketball to their plans for the rest of the night. Circling the table was their dog, Daisy, looking for scraps. Riley got up to grab more food, and Daisy, like a shadow, followed her. As Riley sat back down, Daisy jumped to grab some food. Everybody got a laugh out of the moment. When asked what's next for her, Riley has a ready answer: "Enjoying life," she said. That means moments and nights like those with the family she loves the most. And not taking a second of it for granted. Robinson at ColumbiaTribune.com 573-815-1781